how in the weeds you can get with bread if you don't get it out of the bowl on time, right? That we can't do a whole lot. Certainly we can manipulate that time, temperature, hydration, available food source relationship to an extent, but there's only so much magic we can create, right? Remember, the dough has to be out of the bowl by 4 o'clock, right? At one point, there was 2 open mixers that could have been used to get all that stuff done and out a little bit earlier, okay? So, I know it's somewhat hypnotic, just kind of look into the bowl and watch it go round and round. You got to sort of break free from that. Hit the button, right? Go do something else. We're getting back to those, talking about those little, 2, 3, 4, and 5 minute periods where if you can maximize that time, you can do wonders, right? But letting that time just sort of slide away, then you wind up getting in the weeds. For the challah, I think we got really nice results from the challah today. Really beautiful 3-strand braids. Right? Probably could have gone just a little heavier on the egg wash. Of course, I spent all that time saying, ooh, be conservative. You guys did exactly that, right? And then, now I'm saying could have gone a little farther. I'd just like to see a little bit more of a shine on this. A little bit more like this. Even with the seeds on, like for example this here, we're still getting shine out of that. The other thing is that you guys need to come all the way down, right? Get all the way down with that egg wash. Really make sure it comes down both sides. This is going to be really important when we get into croissants, okay? Because croissants really show that if they don't get the whole egg wash. So this 3-strand just a little bit long, right? One of the things about braiding from the top down to the bottom is you really need to wind up with a loaf that is very even and symmetric and rectangular. We can also start from the middle and work to our right and then work to our left, and that creates more of a batard look to the braid. And that's another way of doing that. But with these braids, when we start at the top and work our way down, we really need to block off the bottom and the top to really make sure that they're a little more consistent. Also need to keep track of the seam there as well. A couple of these just a little bit underproof. Okay, this one could have gotten, I can see a little more volume. Okay, this one just kind of a little low in the volume. Could have given a little more time in the fruit box. Great volume here. All right, nice big loaf. When we cut into these, right, this is one of the issues with challah, especially a braided challah, is that it has this sort of flex to it, which when you're talking about packaging and how to get it to the store and how to keep it upright on the shelf and all that other stuff, it's a little problematic. And so making sure that you have something that's fully baked, nicely proofed but not overproof is really important. So, just trying to find something to point out to you. One of the fun things about challah is that, from a baker's standpoint, is that you can see from the different strands. So here, don't eat this. Okay, if you look and compare these 3 areas, you can see the crumb going in 3 different directions. It's kind of cool. And this is really what we're expecting from challah. It should be this light, moist, very cakey. We should be able to take that developed dough, right, and sort of pull it apart. And it should have this kind of really soft, feathery kind of texture to it. That's the way to go. So, I think, overall, really nice job. These 2-strand braids, what's interesting is even though a lot of times they come out being very pointed, right, when you're done shaping them, after you proof them and get it in and out of the oven, they wind up having the same sort of, rectangular effect that the street strands do, and that's great. The other thing to remember about braiding pollen is that you can also put the braids in a pan, right? So you can take the braid, braid it up, drop it into a loaf pan, and then you get something which has this braided look on top, but then has this sort of consistency on the bottom, and it's great for sandwiches. Okay? That's another nice thing to kind of keep in your back pocket. Smell the other side. On the sunflower seed bread, I think I had all three teams hydrate the dough more. So next rotation, let's add, another half cup of moisture to that dough right off the bat. Yeah, sunflower bread. Yeah, milk. But after having done that, we got some pretty nice sandwich loaves. One of the keys, this gets back to money, right, is that one of the things that's really important about making and selling sandwich bread is consistency. When you're rolling that log to put into the pan, you have to have something that is already the length of the pan when you put it in, okay? So that you have something that, instead of doming, right, this one's actually pretty nice. But like this one here, where it's so much shorter on this side, right, than it is on this, then what you wind up with is some inconsistency. So the chef can only use, that portion of the loaf for sandwiches. That means you're going to be getting a phone call, getting chewed out for, not having very even sandwich bread. So really making sure that that log, when you set it into that pan, touches both ends, okay? And then it'll rise up very evenly, and you'll get lots of uses out of it. So if I send this through a slicer, right, I only have, maybe one slice on each end, the heel, right, which I can't use but can still sell, okay? Because I'm not selling necessarily a number of slices, I'm selling a loaf by weight, okay? They're just trying to get as many slices out of it as they can. Selling sliced bread is a pretty nice deal. Slicers are pretty basic pieces of equipment. Basically, it's a motor with a belt that drives two sets of blades which kind of go like this, right? And then you can run the bread through the slicer. It's not something most restaurants will have or would want to have, right? But for a bakery, being able to slice, sell loaves like this sliced, and then sell loaves like this sliced for a fee, it's a great way to add some money. And again, it's a pretty solid piece of equipment. And it's something that you can buy pretty inexpensively and will hold up forever. And there's lots of people around who know how to sharpen the blades that come on those slicers. Oh, so the cards. Really like the shape of this Picard. I like this end. Like it again work a little bit more on the tastiness of the loaf. One of the things to remember is that you don't need seeds on the bottom. Okay? The seeds on the bottom are going to wind up just getting scorched, and they're not going to taste very good, and nobody's going to see them, right, until they bite into them and taste the scorched seed. So really, just to have the coating that's on the top is really all that's necessary. And if we figure there's 20 grams of seeds here, times the 500 loaves of this I make a week, right, times the cost of sunflower seeds per pound, that's pretty significant, okay, in terms of an actual cost.